If you are only making social media video content for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, you are missing out. YouTube is where you absolutely need to be, even above all those other platforms. Stay tuned. This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. How many homes are you going to sell this year? Do you have the right tools? Is your website turning soft leads into interested buyers? Are you spending money on leads that aren't converting? Well, Real Geeks is your solution. Find out why agents across the country choose Real Geeks as their technology partner. Real Geeks was created by an agent for agents. They pride themselves on delivering a sales and marketing solution so that you can easily generate more business. Their agent websites are fast and built for lead conversion with a smooth search experience for your visitors. Real Geeks also includes an easy-to-use agent CRM. So once a lead signs up on your website, you can track their interest and have great follow-up conversations. Real Geeks is loaded with a ton of marketing tools to nurture your leads and increase brand awareness. Visit realgeeks.com/keeping it real pod and find out why realtors come to Real Geeks to generate more business. Again, visit realgeeks.com/keeping it real pod. And now, onto our show. Today's episode is brought to you by Corded.io. Are you looking for agents to join your brokerage or team? Now, as a real estate recruiter, I can tell you the answer is always yes. But most agents aren't looking to move right now. So how do you know who to contact? Well, what if I were to tell you there's a recruiting and retention tool powered by artificial intelligence that shows you exactly which agents in your local market are looking to leave their brokerage right now and which agents at your own firm are also looking to leave you? Now, I've been recruiting realtors for 15 years and I've hired over 2,000 agents. I can tell you with no exaggeration, this is the tool I've been waiting for. Corded's AI looks for trends across dozens of variables for each agent in your market and shows you which agents they believe are likely to move. Not only does it do that, but Corded's AI went and visited my recruiting website and read everything I offer. So now when I'm recruiting, Corded's AI tells me exactly what to say based on that agent's needs and what my brokerage can offer. It even writes emails for me. I've never seen anything like it, and I use it every single day. Now, if you are looking to grow your brokerage, Corded.io is the best tool out there. Visit Corded.io to schedule a demo. Again, that's Corded.io. And now, onto the show. Hello and welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I am your guide and host through the show. And in just a moment, we're going to be speaking with top 1% agent as well as YouTube content creator Sarah Maslowski. And before we get to Sarah, I want to remind everybody that we also have a YouTube channel. And not only do we post the episodes that you're hearing right now, we also post additional content not seen anywhere else. So for example, we have not just daily tips, we have 60-second videos we post every single day, YouTube Shorts as they're called. But in addition to that, we have long form content that is not seen anywhere else. I just posted a video about 10 AI prompts that top 1% producers have told me specifically word for word that they use to grow their business, and it's only on YouTube. And you can go there, just search for the Keeping It Real podcast, hit that subscribe button, and then you'll get notified when we put out new content. All right, let's get to it. My conversation with Sarah Maslowski. What's the best piece of advice you received in real estate?
I think the best piece of advice I got was from a real estate coach that I had at the time. I was probably a year into the business and I had been like hustling and grinding. And I just had one of those weeks where just like everything fell apart. And I was like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm, prospecting every day. I'm showing up. I'm treating this like a job. Like, why aren't things working out for me? And he shared with me, and he was like, Sarah, your first 3 years in real estate are going to be the absolute hardest. You just have to get through these first 3 years. And he went on to say that those first couple of years are so incredibly hard because you're building your foundation of your success. You're building your database. You're, touching on the people that you know. You're adding people to that database. You're building up past clients that you can then market to, or have past clients that can go out and refer you. And for whatever reason, it was just like a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm comparing my beginning to someone else's middle, or someone that's been doing it for 10 years, not realizing you've got to lay the foundation first. And so for me, it was just super inspiring. And it's something that I still think about. But now that I'm 7 years in, I'm getting those come list me, or, the phone calls where past clients say, hey, we're selling and we want you to, come list our house, and then we want to buy. And I'm like, oh, this is what he was talking about. Like, this is the easy part of real estate that makes it so fun. But yeah, you just got to pay your dues and get there. And also building up that confidence and knowing what you're doing. I think the first couple of years I was in real estate, I had like any and everything that could go wrong. And I kept going over to other agents and telling them this scenario, like, has this ever happened to you? And they're like, no, that's never happened to me. And, you just have to get those reps in and get that experience and, confidence in knowing that you can handle whatever situation comes your way.
All right. Worst piece of advice you've received in real estate?
Oh gosh. I think the worst piece of advice is, had I stayed in the lane of just growing my sphere and growing my database, I would have had a longer stretch of road to success. And so I wasn't from the area that I live in today, which is North Metro Atlanta. We moved here. And then like 3 years later, I got my real estate license. Prior to that, I was a teacher. So I didn't have a strong sphere or network here in the area. And a lot of what we're told in the very beginning is, add as many people as you can. And while that's true, I don't know that I would have had as much success if I would have gone the traditional route. And so I think it's okay to try different things and experiment and find your own way forward.
Well said. Sarah Maslowski is my guest today. I am so excited to chat with you, Sarah. You are amazing. In particular, what you've done online to get leads is truly remarkable, and our audience is going to love to hear your story. I love the fact that you moved to Atlanta, no sphere of influence. I mean, 3 years is not enough time to really build a strong, solid network, and yet you have crushed it in real estate. By the way, Sarah Maslowski works
Yes.
for Keller One. Keller Williams, rather. She has closed. I'm going to tell you, read your bio here. It's amazing. 320 million in sales from YouTube. Sorry, 20 million in sales from YouTube in the last year alone. She has helping 30 families relocate with ease. And we're going to talk about why that relocation is so important to her YouTube channel. She's a top 100 Keller Williams agent nationwide. She built her business through consistent value-driven videos, not gimmicks or paid ads. Now she teaches agents how to do the same, turning YouTube into a powerful evergreen lead source. She's straightforward, proven, and refreshingly real, and Sarah's strategy gets results. I want you all to follow Sarah on Instagram at sarahmaslowski.com. We will have a link to that in the show notes. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, DJ. I'm happy to
I
share
am
today.
so excited to talk to you because what you've done is truly remarkable. I've always thought that agents have this big, huge opportunity to build an online presence. Most of them go to Instagram or Facebook, right? And they connect with whatever their existing sphere is, if it's Facebook, or they try to create some sort of brand on Instagram. And yes, it can work. It can be done. It's a lot of trial and error. And it's a lot of hard work. And you decided, and you have that as well, but you decided to really put your effort into YouTube. Let's first hear your story before we get to all of that. Tell us a little bit more about why you got into real estate.
Yeah, so I became a real estate agent 7 years ago, And I originally graduated with a degree in marketing. At the height of the recession, my husband and I were living in a tiny town in South Georgia. So the job prospects were incredibly limited. And I was actually laid off from my first two real jobs out of college where I actually, used my marketing degree. And at the time, the town needed teachers and they would hire you if you had a 4-year degree. So I fell into teaching kind of by accident, and spent 7 years as a teacher. We moved around quite a bit for my husband's job. And so I kept falling into like that safety net everywhere we went. They needed teachers. And it wasn't until we moved up here to the metro Atlanta area and I just found myself, having one of those moments of like, what am I doing with my life? I do not like teaching. And there's no way that I can do this for another, 13 plus years. Like I'm ready to leave. And so the job prospects back in like 2017, 2018, also were kind of bleak. I was looking at what my resume looked like, and it was mostly teaching. And, I was looking at jobs online like copier sales and things like that. And it felt like, no, I don't want to do that. So I did some self-discovery and journey, reading a lot of self-help books during that time. And it was like, what's the one job that you've always wanted to do if you weren't afraid of, failing? And for me, that was real estate. We had bought and sold several different times throughout the moves that we had. And I always thought like, hey, that looks fun and easy. And, but I was terrified of not having that W-2 job that I'd always had. And it was after exhausting my other options that I kept coming back to real estate. And I was like, you know what? I think if I try hard enough, I can at least replace my teacher income. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to be happier for it. So I left teaching in 2018, went straight into real estate. And that's where I've been ever since. And I'm so glad I
How
made
did
that leap.
you get your first client?
Oh, that's a good one. So I was on a team. I had some great advice from a younger agent, or we kind of had similar paths in getting into real estate. And he was like, just join a team. And that was super helpful for me. It ended up not being the perfect fit for me team wise, but what it did is it gave me the tools to plug into that I knew like, hey, if I had a list of people to call, if I can go host open houses, if I have something to say and get in front of people, I can convert clients. And so that first lead came from hosting an open house. And majority of my business that I closed that very first year were leads that were self-generated through the
Yeah.
tools that were given to me. And that gave me the inspiration to like, hey, I think I can go out and do this on my own. And so I went solo in
Amazing. So
2019.
you went team and then started doing those reps and started doing the open houses,
Yes,
converting leads, and then deciding to fly solo and say, hey, I want to spread my wings, build my own team. And now you have your own team, which is even more exciting. I want to talk about
I
lead
do.
generation because, of course, it's probably the most important or most talked about topic for realtors who are
Yeah.
struggling right now. Of course, it's a difficult market right now. I don't know what it's like in Atlanta. We're here in Chicago. There's limited inventory. Rates are actually have come down recently, so it's kind of nice. Yeah, the
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
week
That's
has been
nice.
kind of fun, but inventory is still pretty tight. I think agents aren't calling their sellers and saying, "I know you have a 3% mortgage, but it might be time, prices have gone up or values have gone up. Maybe it's time to consider, what your next move is." And so people aren't moving as much. And so there just isn't a ton of activity, even though it is still a strong busy season here. So I want to talk about lead gen because that's something you can really do all year round. And it's also something that you have to pretty much do all year. And you have found a really fun way to do it in a way that I think is really helpful because I've always thought the best way to attract people to your business is not necessarily just look at this home I just sold, look at this just listed, just sold, just went under contract. That's fine. You could post those or post those notifications, great, whatever. Fine. But I've thought about what if you could answer questions for people that don't know you yet? Questions that people are searching for online that makes you really valuable to people who are looking to move to that metro Atlanta area. And you've kind of figured that out. So tell me about your YouTube strategy.
Yeah. So my journey to YouTube, like many of you that are probably listening, as a newer-ish agent into the business, I was didn't have a big sphere. So I was hustling to get business from anywhere and everywhere. I did expireds, open houses, I door knocked, cold call. I would stalk people on Facebook and Facebook groups, and if they mentioned that they wanted to move, and I was, sliding into their DMs, trying to earn their business. And I had a lot of success with that, but it was also just a very exhausting way to lead generate. I didn't specialize in any one thing. And it was in 2020, I came across a group of other real estate agents that were having success with video. Now, taking you all the way back to 2020, your only real options for video online were YouTube or Facebook. And so we didn't have Instagram reels or stories, like that just wasn't a thing back then. And I was trying to incorporate video. I was trying to show up online and be the mayor of my town and get business. And I was failing miserably. And I say miserably, I was trying. Nothing was happening. I was posting listing videos on YouTube. I was interviewing some business owners, putting that on YouTube and Facebook, and nobody was calling me. And so when I came across this group of agents that were having success, I was like, how? Show me what you're doing. Like, I don't believe it because I'm trying all the same things and it's not working. And it wasn't until I went and looked at their YouTube channels and then I realized, like, oh, okay, y'all have drastically different content than what I have on my YouTube channel. So again, mine had like listing videos, how to save money on your property taxes, interviewing the local business owner, and their channel was nothing but videos about their town and where they lived and just showing off how great it is to live there, or the information that you would need to know if you were thinking about making a move there. So, like, what are the best neighborhoods? Why would someone live in this part of town versus the other part of town? If you need to commute someplace, where's the most, neighborhood friendly places for that type of commute? And it was a real light bulb moment for me. And so I was like, okay, if I can just copy what they're doing, then this seems like a much better way to success than what I was currently doing, which was just throwing videos out there and nothing was sticking. So I started doing that in the fall of 2020, just copied and duplicated what other agents were doing and started implementing that in the fall of 2020. And I've never looked back. So it did take about 6 weeks of videos. And when I say 6 weeks of videos, the one thing that's really different about YouTube is that you only need to make one video a week. And that's all I post is one video a week, but they are longer videos. So you're looking between 10 to 15 minutes in length is what the average video is. And I know if you're listening to this, you're thinking like, that's a really long time. And it can feel like that. But in to earnestly answer the question of essentially like what your video is answering, it does take about, 10 minutes or so worth of talking to get that information across. So it's not that long as what you think. And so I started posting that one video a week, and it was about 6 weeks later, got my first lead call. And that lead actually ended up not working out, but it was very, very instrumental because it gave me the inspiration and the motivation to keep going because honestly, I thought
Yeah.
this wasn't working. My views at the time were like in the low double digits, like a 12 views on a video or, 15 views. And you're thinking like, oh, this is, it's just the first couple of videos. It'll gain some traction. And the cool thing about YouTube videos is that you don't need a ton of views on your videos. You just need the right people to watch your videos. So you're not making, content for the masses and trying to go viral. You're just trying to talk to the people that are specifically showing interest in your town or your area that they might be thinking about
Yeah,
making a
what
move to.
people sometimes forget is that YouTube is the second largest search engine for, yeah. So Google's
Yes.
number one, YouTube's number two. So people are asking questions. I ask questions in YouTube all the time. Like I consistently ask questions in YouTube for what I'm looking for. And so what you've done is just really amazing. You've literally think about, what do people want to know who are moving to this area or who live in this area and want to move to a different part of Atlanta. And you start thinking about, what are those questions that they would be searching for in YouTube. I do this when I go on vacation, right? So if I'm going to, I went to
Yeah.
Ireland with my
Yeah.
father. We did like a father-son trip several years ago. And, I do this everywhere I go. I go, okay, we're going to Kilkenny. What are the 10 coolest things to do in Kilkenny, while we're there, right? So those are the things
Right.
you want to know. And of course, we use those videos. We watch it on the way, on the drive, and then we figure out what we're going to do. So it's really a pretty simple idea. Now, it's not easy to execute, and it takes consistency and dedication, and a lot of hard work. But I love this. I'm going to peel back the curtain on Sarah just slightly for a second,
Sure.
because I asked her at the beginning, because I assumed, by the way, she has 10,000 followers on YouTube. Very impressive. I don't even have 10,000 followers on YouTube. Really amazing. And maybe I should make videos of how to become a podcaster as a real estate agent. Maybe that would be well. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
what I was really impressed by is the quality of Sarah's videos. And I said, Sarah, hey, what kind of camera do you use? And she's like, oh, I use my iPhone. I love this. I love the fact that you use really pretty simple equipment, and it's about the content itself. So let's talk about the quality of the content. So I think, in real estate, we tend to think in aesthetics, right? We tend to think of, how pretty does something look,
Yeah.
how shiny, how beautiful, especially if it's on Instagram. We love things that look perfect. YouTube isn't quite the
Right.
same. So let's talk about, what kind of content are you putting on YouTube, and who is it geared for?
Yeah. Great question. So the aesthetics of making a YouTube video, it was something that really kind of held me back for a while. So I all the YouTube creators that I would watch to get inspiration from, outside of the real estate space, they would have setups kind of similar to what I have now. And for me, that was just kind of like a daunting thing, because uh, we have a 1960s brick ranch house that has wood paneling. I don't have an aesthetically pleasing house. And so for me, that was like, I don't have a pretty place where I can go set up my phone and film myself. And so I tried doing a green screen. I was like, well, that'll work. And that looked terrible. Don't do a green screen. I tried filming outside, and that was also not a good fit for me, because then I'm worrying about like the weather, the school bus driving by, someone blowing off their leaves in their yard, all of those things. And so it was a bunch of trial and error for me to work my way up to what I have today. If you go back on my channel, you can scroll and see that those very first videos, 5 to 10, are terrible videos filmed in a corner of my house with terrible paneling behind me, terrible lighting, terrible audio. And I'm literally um, standing so close to the camera, because I didn't really realize you could like zoom in post editing. I thought that's how I needed to show up on camera. So I'm, standing like a few inches away from my phone. So those videos are bad. And I just want to share that to encourage you. It's going to take time. You are going to get better as you go along. However, it was those first 6 to 10 bad videos that got me those first
Yeah.
couple of phone calls. And the light bulb moment for me is that people don't really care about what you look like, what you sound like. They care about the content that you're providing. And DJ, you made such a great point. YouTube and Google, they're owned by the same company. Anytime someone Googles something, they're going to give them 3 video results as part of that search, even though they didn't ask for it. You're getting it. Another crazy thing that's just developed over the past couple of months is that now video results are showing up
Yeah.
in AI searches. And so that's a great data mine for AI engines to gather stuff. So we're starting to see YouTube videos be suggested there as well. So there's a lot of great, cross pollination of making this one piece of content, has you showing up in all kinds of areas. And that's really, really important. It's more about the content that you're providing. And so you have to think that the people that are going online and researching an area are just like you said, DJ. They're researching that because they've never been there before, or they're not very familiar with it. maybe their spouse just got a job offer there, or, they have aging parents in the area and they're trying to figure out like, where do we want to live that's within a 30-minute drive of where they live, all of these things. And of course, you can go read generic blog articles and things like that, but there's something so incredibly valuable to have someone say, hey, I live here. I drive around this town every single day. Here's what you need to know if you're thinking about moving here. And the cool thing is that they don't want to hear just the good things. You can share bad things. You can say like, hey, the traffic is a nightmare in this area. Great neighborhood, but you're going to be stuck at this red light for like 4 cycles before you're able to get out of the neighborhood. And people just really value that trust and authenticity that you're giving and building through providing all of this great information
Yeah,
for
I,
them.
I wholeheartedly agree. Let's go through like a thought process for you for how you would create a video, because
Sure.
what you do is so different
Yeah.
from how the way that most people create social media content. And again, most people are creating it on the more traditional social channels, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. More disposable in video. Again, they're interviewing local businesses, which
Yeah.
again, good idea. There's definite value to doing that. And there are agents that have tremendous success going around doing listing videos, doing, interviewing local businesses. That absolutely can work. But those videos are
Sure.
disposable. They come and go. They're not going to, cycle back through. Whereas what Sarah's doing is thinking of kind of building a stronger foundation, where she's actually thinking, what are some timeless questions? And maybe I'll update them from time to time. But what are some questions that really never go
Yeah.
away, that always need to be answered by people who, maybe even people that already live there, by the way, but predominantly by people who are moving into the area, where, what decisions do they have to make? What do they not know? So let's walk through a video. How do you decide on a topic for a video?
So in the very beginning, it was a little bit easier deciding on a topic in the sense that, I've never made content about the area. So it's just like, what does someone need to know if they're moving here? Looking at other creators' channels at the time, it was very, very popular to do pros and cons. What are the pros and cons of living in, Alpharetta, Georgia? What's the cost of living in that town? What are 5 things you need to know before moving to that town? The titles have gotten a little bit sexier, but the bulk of the information is the exact same. And so I think the overall YouTube content creator real estate space has gotten a little bit more creative in how we package and title things now, but the meat and potatoes of it is the exact same. It's answering those questions. And I started just answering and cycling through those topics for each town that I was willing to serve a client. And the cool thing that started happening is that as you start having more reach outs and people talking to you, and then they start asking you questions in the buyer consult, you start realizing, oh, that's a really great question. I didn't realize like this is different from, here versus where you live. And then you just start getting a wealth of content from your actual clients. And then, going through the process and showing them homes. And I'll never forget. So, we're in North Metro Atlanta, and we're standing outside of a home, and this is like times of like when there's huge demand and we're having to wait to get inside a home, and we're killing time, we're chit-chatting, and the buyer's looking around, and she's looking at the ground, the flower beds outside the house, and she's looking up and she's looking back at me, and she's like, I don't understand, where is it coming from? And I was like, where's what coming from? And she's pointing to pine straw. And so here in Georgia, we have pine straw that's used as landscaping in our flower beds instead of like mulch. And she was looking for the
Sure.
pine trees to figure out like where the pine straw was coming from. And, it's like little idiosyncrasies like that people really appreciate getting that knowledge ahead of time, or at least just like knowing what to expect. And so that becomes an idea for a video of 10 things you need to know before, moving to Georgia. And it's like, what are some things that might be different here that's normal or not normal where you are? And so clients will give you a lot of good inspiration. And we have AI now that can give us such great video topics and titles that, I wish I would have had that, 5 years ago when I started this journey, because it's definitely made it a little bit more easier to come up with these ideas. One of the things that I've learned from this process, especially now making videos for 5 years, you do get to a point where you feel like, okay, I've said everything I can say about my area. There's really no new information to share. But the really cool thing about this type of content versus Instagram or Facebook is that you're
Yeah.
creating evergreen content. And so this is content that's relevant years down the road, and you never know what someone's first video is going to be. I think I was kind of stuck in the mindset that I thought like, oh, people are watching these in like chronological order, and that's totally not the case. Most people are discovering your channel because they're just trusting whatever YouTube serves up to them as a suggestion. And so they could suggest your most recent video, or they could be suggesting a video that you made 2 years ago. And that's where it's so cool is that even if you've talked about something 2 years ago and someone's been following you for a year and a half, they may have never discovered that video before. They may have never come up in their search. So uh, you get to a point where basically all of your videos are just the exact same types of information, just spun in a little bit of a different way, or the title's a little bit different. But essentially, that pros and cons video is the same video of 5 reasons why I would never move to this area. You're just talking about the cons of that
This
video.
this is a good point
Um,
because, and
and
I want to, you're making a very, very important point. So what Sarah is saying is, hey, we make a video, we have this content, and we think, okay, it's done, it's purposed, it can't really be used again. But the reality of it is, have you ever gone into someone's YouTube channel and watched every single one of their videos? Like, probably not, right? Like, most of our listeners haven't done
right,
that. There's maybe you go to a playlist that the person has and you might look through, a series of
right.
videos, but you're not probably going through, so you wouldn't know if they had a similar video with similar content, maybe just said in a different way or presented in a different way. So what Sarah's saying is really important, is that
Yeah.
yes, you don't want to have one piece of content and try to do it 20 different ways, but you can continue to evolve that content and repeat it in other videos, because people aren't going to go back and watch. Like Sarah said, they're searching in YouTube. Whatever YouTube is telling them to search for, or the results, that is most likely what they're going to tap on.
Yeah. I think I learned this lesson from a Instagram creator, and it was an aha moment for me. She was saying that you should be reintroducing yourself to your audience every 5 to 10 videos. And I was like, "Oh, why?" That seems like you just made that reel 10 reels ago. And it's because you never know when someone is joining you in that customer journey loop, right? Or when they're first discovering you for the first time. And so they don't know these things. And so it's a little bit different on YouTube, but essentially the concept's the same. You never know when someone's first video is going to be, how far back they're going to dig into the archives, what's going to be suggested next. So yes, you are always constantly, repackaging and presenting the information in different ways. But at the heart of the matter,
So
it's the
let's talk
same.
about introducing yourself, because I think that's a really, really interesting idea. So this idea of there's no one entry point into your content. They can find any one video at any one time. So you're not going to introduce yourself and explain who you are and your life story on every single video. But you are doing this every 5 or 10 videos. You're saying, hey, this is what I do. This is who I am. Tell us about that.
So a little bit different in the sense that every video I do say, hi, I'm Sarah Maslowski, and I help
Sure.
clients move from all over right here. If you're thinking about making a move, reach out to me. But it's just that. So the cool thing about the YouTube videos is that you're just that there's not a whole lot of hard selling. The information that you're giving, the value that you're providing, that is the selling. That's
Yeah.
doing the heavy lifting of establishing you as the agent of choice, because you're the one showing up in their living room giving them all this great information. The reintroducing part that kind of shows up in YouTube is the fact that as you're making video content and as you have that library of videos to pull from, if I'm making a video on the 5 reasons why I would never live in this town, at the end of that video, I can say, hey, if this
Right.
town isn't the right one for you, but you're looking for something a little bit more quiet, check out this video next where I talk about, why you're going to love living in this town. And it gives them this then something else to go click on next. And then at the end of that video, it's, for more information on this town, check out this video that I made, a year ago. And so it's giving them that content that they need, and it's creating, bingeable library of stuff for them to watch. It's one of the main reasons why you get such exponential growth on YouTube over time, is that it just takes a while to build up
Yeah.
that library to start linking all of this content together. But, as you're making these videos, you can start referencing those old videos or those previous videos that you just made to let them know, like, hey, this isn't just the only video you have on the area.
Right.
You've got lots out there for them to watch, or you're going to have lots
So
out there
what
for
I
them
love
to
about what
watch.
you're doing is you're really not promoting yourself. You are literally just talking. Like, do you? I'm curious, and I don't know the answer to this. Do you ever
Yeah.
say, "I want to work with you. I want to, I want to be your client. I want you to be my client. I want you to reach out to me," or are you really just going, "Hey"? Here's the answer to this particular question, the 5 reasons to live or not live in such and such. And by the way, I have this other video for this other thing. Like, tell me how it. Do you do any pitch at all to you being a realtor?
Yeah, great question. So I do let them know at the top of the video, I'm a real estate agent, and I help people like them move to the area. I do remind them at the end of the video, I want to be your real estate agent, reach out to me. And the reason that I started doing that is I would get comments on videos where people are like, oh, we just love it here. We just moved and we just, bought a house. And I'm like, great. So happy you love living here. But like, dang
They
it,
didn't
why
know.
didn't you reach out? Um, well, and what I've learned from them, my mindset has shifted, is that one, you're not going
Sure,
to help every single
of
person
course.
that's relocating to your area. There's enough business out there for everybody. Two, oftentimes, um, in those scenarios, those people either maybe they're relocating for like a corporate relocation and they're being told they have to use someone, or they have a family friend that they're going to hurt someone's feelings if they don't go with their recommendation. So I've evolved and kind of grown past that. But I do think it's important to remind people that you are a real estate agent, that
Sure.
you're making these videos because you actually want to help them. But a more subtle way that you can do that in your videos is start incorporating more
Yeah.
client stories into the information whenever you're actually providing it. So, saying something like, we just helped, this great couple move from Florida. And one of the things they said that they love about living here is, they didn't expect people to be so friendly. And so then that becomes a story in what you're talking about. And so it signals to the audience that you help people just like
And
them.
so
So that's
so
helpful
they
to
watch
do
your
in the
videos,
videos.
they get answers to questions about moving in or around the area that they need. They understand that you're a real estate agent because that's mentioned, but really the content is the main focus. And how do they make the leap to then contact you? What's usually the way because what they well, I have a guess, and I want you to tell me if I'm right. I bet you get a lot of phone calls or emails from people that go, "I've been watching you for a while. I've been watching your content, and I need help, with a move." I'll bet you get a lot of that, like people who already feel like they know you just from your videos.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's something that I didn't quite expect out of this lead generation source. But, I remember one of my first leads, first handful of leads, the family was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're getting a chance to talk to you. We are just so excited." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like, "Ma'am, you don't know how excited I am to be talking to you because you're like one of my first 10 leads that I've ever gotten." And so they kind of look at you more of a,
Yeah.
someone on TV. In fact, I've had a couple of clients refer to them as episodes, like, "Oh, we watched your latest episode." And so that's cute and funny to me. But it just reiterates or reinforces how much of a service you're providing to people and how valuable they're seeing this, and how much they trust you before they even reach out. So, a huge benefit to this is that, yes, whenever clients actually make the leap and they reach out to you, they have a very, very high
Yeah.
intent to do something. Now, not every person's going to, actually close and end up making that move or relocating, but, it is sure heck of a lot better than calling,
Yeah.
circle prospecting a neighborhood or calling Facebook leads or working Zillow leads. Um, because, I would say, 60% of them are actually going to do something. And it may not be right then, it may be a year from now or 2 years from now. And, the crazy thing now that we've been doing this for a couple of years is we have people that will reach out and say, we've been watching your videos for 2 years and we're finally ready to make the move. And that's
Isn't
just
it?
crazy to me that, we've been in front of people for that long. Um, but yes, we definitely get a lot of people that are like, hey, we'll be there in 3 weeks and our house is under contract and we need to find a home. And, that's like the best
Yeah.
kind of lead generation in real estate is whenever you can just, have your phone ring. You ask the question, like, how do
Yeah.
they get in contact with us? And so I direct them to a link in the description. I have found that that is the best way after some trial and error over the years. It takes them to a form that they fill out. That form gives me some simple information such as time frame, budget, where they're looking, are they interested in renting, and then that signals to us like how quickly do I need to get
Yeah.
them on my calendar. So if that message says that they're going to be in town this weekend, then I'm calling them, setting up something first thing, for us to go into it. If they're moving in 2 years and thinking about retirement, well, if my schedule's busy over the next couple of days, that can be a call that we schedule for next week. And the mistakes I learned before was that if you just give them your phone number and tell them to call you, they will call you. And then you're, answering these phone calls that you don't know who's on the
Right.
other end, or you don't know their time frame. And then you're stuck, for 45 minutes outside the grocery store talking to a lead when you just want to go, get your groceries because you told your husband that you're on your way
Oh,
home.
that
So,
that makes perfect sense. So you aren't necessarily directing them to your website. You're directing them to a landing page of sorts or a some sort of contact form, which is, hey, I would like
yes.
more information, basically. And you are then asking them to tell, oh,
Yes.
that is really, really smart. So
Yeah, and then
I
we have
love that.
automations set up so that they're immediately getting, a text
Yeah,
message and an email that says,
sure.
"Got your information, so excited to connect." And we are, speed to lead is important. So, we are getting back to them, but I can manage that within, normal business hours, and I have more control over when I'm on the phone versus the phone controlling me.
And this result, so you've been doing it for 5 years. In the last 12 months, you have had 30 closings as a result of people that you did not know, literally came from whole cloth and found you on YouTube with your content.
Yes,
That's
and I'll
incredible.
say that it is incredible. Um, I think one of the byproducts that has been like something that was never on my radar that could ever happen is this happened a lot in 2021 and 2022. I say a lot, a handful of times. We've had people that have moved to the area solely because of the videos. Like this area was never on their
Wow.
radar. They
Wow.
didn't have a job here, didn't have family here, they've never been here, and they started watching the content and they're like, "Yeah, this looks like an area that we want to move to." And so that is super, super crazy to me. But again, it just, reiterates that you're providing such a great service to people and building a lot of trust out there. Um, I will share that in 2021, 2022, we all experienced, the crazy height of the real estate market. And there was a part of me that kind of wondered, like, are we having the success just because of we're in a high relocation area? It's really easy. Interest rates are, 2.5%. And,
Hmm.
everyone from California has oodles of money that they can spend here. Um, and even though I think 2023 closings were kind of like the peak
That
of
was
how many
rough.
people,
Yeah.
um, I think that year we ended up helping like 50 plus clients from
Wow.
YouTube. And but I have to
Wow.
say that like last year, 24, this year, we're still closing. Majority of our, leads are coming from YouTube. And even during an off market, I say an off market, well, at least in the metro Atlanta area, interest rates are really hurting us. Inventory is up. We're not experiencing what you're experiencing there in
Oh,
Chicago, where
gotcha.
things are still really hot. Um, but YouTube is still my main lead gen source. And so I think that just proves that this model works in any market.
Yeah.
And you can have this be like one of your main lead gen pillars.
Do you cross post to any other channels like TikTok, Instagram?
Yeah. So that one's something that I learned the hard way. I thought, hey, I'm making this great content. I can just chop it up into shorts and I can put it, on
Everywhere. Yeah.
everywhere. And what I learned is that that does not work. Um, Taking a 10-minute YouTube video where you're talking in depth about something and then trying to segment out 30 seconds or 60 seconds that makes sense without the context of the before and after is incredibly hard.
That's tough, right?
Um, Also, that it's hard for people to watch. So if they're not super interested in it, it's teaching the algorithm on like Instagram or TikTok that this isn't a good video. So they're not finding who wants to see it. Um, so I learned the hard way that it's just much easier to film those shorts or those reels individually. By the time it takes you sitting in front of a computer to find that one clip, you could have already made the video.
Do
Um,
you have
so so I found that, but another thing I learned is that the way that the algorithms work on each of the platforms is wildly different. So the really cool thing about YouTube is I don't pay for ads. I don't post my YouTube videos in other places. I'm not promoting them on Facebook or anything like that. YouTube's algorithm is super smart. They're going to find your people and
Yeah.
they're going to find the ones that are going to benefit from it the most. And so I just really protect that algorithm and I don't share that link outside of YouTube and I just wait and let the magic happen.
Smart. That's really, really smart. That is a really bright. So your thing is I have the best content, not necessarily the best looking content, but I have the best information for people that are moving to Atlanta, and YouTube is going to reward me for that and is going to serve up my content to those people. And all I have to do is continually create that high level of content. Are you comfortable in front of the camera, or are you how has that been for you?
It's definitely something that has gotten better over time. And, but still to this day, if I hear my voice or I see myself on camera, I cringe. No one, I don't think, ever loves the way that that looks. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have an assistant that can watch the videos and go back and forth with the editor to get it right. And so I'm not having to watch myself. Um, and I just think that if you're waiting for for you to feel confident on camera, if you're waiting for you to feel like you like the way that you look or sound on camera, if you're waiting for your background to be pretty and all the right things to be in the right order, you're never going to execute on this. And it's just like one of those things where you just have to fail forward. If I go back and watch those first 20 videos I made, they're not good, but you're just naturally going to get better as you go. And in the beginning, when I saw these other agents having success, one of the things that really motivated me was that a lot of them were not that good. Like I would watch their videos and be like, really? Like this is like you're kind of
Yeah.
boring. Or this is like a really bad quality. But that gave me a huge inspiration. And I was like, oh, you don't have to be this on camera news anchor or HGTV host. You just have to show up, be yourself, share some real information, and just keep doing it. And people are going to reach out to you. So that was super helpful for me in the beginning to get going.
And we should also mention that you are working on a course for agents. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So over 5 years, I've learned quite a bit of failures and things that work and things that don't work. And although this process seems kind of easy, there's a lot of nuances, and fine details in the back end that help quite a bit. So I've taken everything that I've learned. I did a pilot course earlier this year. Now I have kind of like a 2.0 version coming out in October that has a little bit more extended support so that after you get all this really great information, you have some additional support for the next 12 months of actually executing and, getting the videos out there. So that starts in October. If you're interested in learning more, follow me on Instagram and I'll share. But yeah, I'm super excited about that because by far, this is the biggest return on investment lead gen strategy that you can do outside of my time and outside of the editor that I pay for. That's the only, you know, investment that I have outside of a couple $100 in equipment. And you can do all this every single month for less than 2 Zillow leads when it comes to, the actual leverage that you have to put into getting a video made.
And the content lives forever.
Yes. Yes. So it's working while you are sleeping. And yeah, it's just amazing how many people will watch your videos. And there's no platform on earth that I could ever, get tens of thousands of people to watch content of me talking about where I'm living. So yeah, it's just wild.
I love that. Sarah Maslowski is where you find her on Instagram. We will have a link to that in the show notes. She has a course to help you develop your own YouTube channel and become the Sarah Maslowski of your local area on YouTube. So that is coming, and we will definitely be talking more about that here on the podcast when Sarah is ready to launch. For now, go check out her channel, which is Moving to Atlanta. We'll have a link to that. Look at the content she's creating. She did a rinse and repeat from what she found other agents doing, and you can do the same, and then you can learn from Sarah directly once she launches her course. Sarah, I want to thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank
This
you.
is amazing. I love that you're doing this. I'm so impressed. It's always something that I think about doing for my own version of my business, and I need to get better at it. And you've inspired me to take it up a bit of a notch. So thank you for that. And on behalf of our audience, I want to thank Sarah for her time. She's busy. She's busy making content and also helping agents or helping clients in the metro Atlanta area. She helps people all throughout the northern suburban area as well as the city. And if you do have clients that move into Atlanta and you are an agent and you aren't an agent in Atlanta, definitely reach out to Sarah, see if you can connect. Maybe you could have some referral partners there. So reach out to Sarah there. On behalf of Sarah and myself, I want to thank everyone for listening to our episode. The best way that you can help our podcast is by telling a friend. Think of another realtor in your office that needs to hear this episode, because everyone's trying to do everything on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, but they're neglecting YouTube, and YouTube is actually probably the stronger long-term play. Sarah can help get you there, but send them a link to this episode anywhere podcasts are served. You can find Keeping It Real, and we also keepingitrealpod.com is our website, so you can find us there and stream every episode we've ever done there. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Sarah, and thank you to our audience for always being a great supporters. Thank you to everyone here with the show. Sarah, we are so impressed with what you're doing. I can't wait to continue to watch your content and have it continue to inspire me to do a better job with my own. So thank you. I appreciate it. And we will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Sarah.
All right. Thanks.